homelessness was my mentor. Like, I was homeless at the age of 17 with my son. And for me, that was a very low moment. So anytime I feel myself going backwards, I always say, I never want to go back that far. So that kept me going. Like, that kept my drive going. That kept me moving. It became so addictive buying income like that I got addicted to it. Like, sometimes you can be addicted as a consumer or you can be addicted as a producer. Yeah. I was addicted to producing. I was addicted to saying, how big can I turn this snowball into? Wow. And so when I looked at it and I started looking at my portfolio, I'm like, yo, I'm a millionaire. Yo, I'm a multi-millionaire. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I look at my family trust. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know anything about that. But all of that started from me being consistent and just being a good steward of what I have. Sometimes we get opportunities and we pass them by because we're not good stewards with what we're given.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because
it has to work or it has to work.
Welcome to an episode of Circle of Greatness, man. I'm your host, Nehemiah Davis, and I'm super pumped up about this episode. One of the reasons is I own a block with this young lady, y'all. A whole block. We got 60 houses on one block. And I said, hey, I need you to come on here and I need you to break down some keys on how to be a developer, right? And more importantly than that, like, how did you come from being poor to buying buildings and just changing lives and showing other people how to do it? So without further ado, I want to go and invite my sister Terrica, aka the female real estate guru. What up, sis?
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, thanks for being on the pod.
Greatness.
You already know.
Let's go. I'm excited.
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, I don't know what you're gonna ask me, so it's gonna be good. This is gonna be a good interview. I'm excited.
Hey, listen, you've been on a run on these interviews, impacting a lot of lives.
Praise God. Yes, I have. I've done quite a few interviews this week, and I'm excited. I mean, sharing my story, helping people, understand that you don't really need a whole lot to, get started, and so I'm excited to be able to share that information with the folks.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you started with $5,000, or was it $500?
$5,000. I started with my tax return, $5,000, and nobody told me that I was doing it right or wrong, so I just did it with what I had. You know what I'm saying? And so $5,000 tax return. I had $3,000 in a real estate commission check. That was $8,000. It was everything I had. And when I tell you I had so many bills and debts and different things like that needed to get paid, but I was like, screw this. Every year I get my income tax. I go pay my bills. I go do everything, that I do every single year. What if I do something different? Yeah. Like, what if I don't pay these bills? Like, what's going to happen? They're going to keep calling me?
Yeah.
I mean, I dealt with them for a few years, and I think I'm okay, right? And so I eventually we bought a property for $5,000. I put $3,000 into it. I went to the bank. They appraised it at $60,000. So my $8,000 turned into the $60,000. The bank said, we'll give you 80% of the value of the property, which came out to be about $48,000. I used that money to go buy more real estate.
And you haven't stopped since? I
haven't stopped. I put my head down. I understood the formula worked. And so I kept on saying, if I can turn 8,000 into 48, I can turn 48 to 100. I can turn 100 to 150, 150 to 200. And I just kept on going, and I kept on going.
But let me ask you, what made you keep going? Because sometimes you may do a deal and you get content. Like, yo, I just made a deal and you just chill. I got one property, I got one rental, and then you don't go to two. Then you don't go to three. What was that deciding factor? Because someone's listening right now and they're in the area of contentment where they just did a deal. They're like, let me chill until next year. Or they just did something. They're like, let me take a break. So what was that thing? Is it a mindset? Like, what made you say I got to keep going?
It's definitely a mindset because, homelessness was my mentor. Like, I was homeless at the age of 17 with my son. Yeah. And for me, that was a very low moment. So anytime I feel myself going backwards, I always say, I never want to go back that far. So that kept me going. Like, that kept my drive going. That kept me moving. And so, I knew it became so addictive buying income like that I got addicted to it. Like, sometimes you can be addicted as a consumer or you can be addicted as a producer. Yeah. I was addicted to producing. I was addicted to saying, how big can I turn this snowball into? Wow. And so when I looked at it and I started looking at my portfolio, I'm like, yo, I'm a millionaire. Yo, I'm a multi-millionaire. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I look at, I look at my family trust. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know anything about that. But all of that started from me being consistent and just being a good steward of what I have. Sometimes we get opportunities and we pass them by because we're not good stewards with what we're given.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because I know being a real estate millionaire is somewhat different than, and I know later we want to talk about the digital millionaire, real estate mentor.
Right, okay.
I mean, real estate millionaire. Like, how long does it take to be worth $1 million in real estate? Meaning, like, is that, I guess you could do it in one deal, really, but basically I'm just trying to figure out
how the assets are categorized?
Yeah, how are you categorizing I'm a millionaire with real estate? How do people categorize that? Is that my...
By the value of the bricks.
Got it, okay.
By the value of the bricks. So, like, for instance, if you have, 5 properties, 200,000 each, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's $1 million.
Yeah.
So in real estate, in the real estate world, to the banks, you have $1 million portfolio. Got it. Because that's 5 properties, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200. That's $1 millionaire in real estate.
Got
okay.
it.
Now $1 million. It don't mean you have $1 million in your bank account. Yeah. It just means that you have $1 million portfolio. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah, no.
And so a lot of the times people think, it's so hard to get to, it's really not.
Yeah. And then you could refi 80% of it and get 800,000 if you need it.
If it's all liquid.
If it's liquid, yeah.
Yeah, if it's all liquid, absolutely. But what I do is I buy where I have anywhere from 30 to 40% worth of equity in it. So anytime I do a deal, the exit, which you should always start with the exit. What is your plan for this building? If this building is to pay, let's just say, your mortgage, okay? Well, it's going to pay the mortgage. So while it's paying the mortgage, I want to take the equity out of that building. The equity is the money that's left over from what you paid for it and what you owe the bank. Yep. The remaining is your equity. Yep. I want to be able to use that money that's inside of my bricks while it's still taking care of my mortgage. I want to use that to go buy more assets. I want to go buy more income producing
Essentially
assets.
The Burr method.
Yes.
Tell the people what the Burr is for those who don't know.
So the Burr method is you buy the property, you're going to renovate the property, you're going to rent the property, you're going to refinance the property, and then you're going to repeat the same process.
Tell people what refinance means, just in case they don't understand.
Refinance means, that's a great question, and thank you for asking me to break it down. Refinancing means you're gonna
Burr back in the day, I thought I'm like cold Burr, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. So whenever you're refinancing a loan, you're literally taking the loan that you have and you're going to renew the terms. But when you renew the terms, you're like, I want you to give me some money back out of it. Now you can do a refinance without getting money out, but what's the point? Yeah. Like some people be like, I want the lower interest rate. Like I want the lower interest rate and I want my money out the bricks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you may not be able to get a lower interest rate, but you can get some capital to go deploy, buy more investments. And depending on what that investment is, that interest rate may make sense for the refinance that you just did the cash pull out for.
That's good. Let me ask you this, because we start jumping into it.
We went into it like, this is sexy. I like this stuff.
Yo, I didn't mean to stop the episode, but I gotta let you know how I just purchased 60 doors of real estate on one block. And you probably can guess who helped me do it. Yes, Terrica, y'all. Terrica helped me get 60 doors on one block. I was able to invest with her, David Shands, and a few other investors, y'all. And now that building, right? Ooh, it's going to be paying us for the next 30 years because we got it under contract with the government to pay us every single month. So listen, man, if y'all want to know the plays, you want to know how you can invest with Terrica, you want to know how you can invest on your own, right? You want to get all the game, the strategies, right? She's hosting a 5-day challenge, right? Where she's bringing in special guests, dope entrepreneurs that's going to come give you game. She's going to give you game on how to truly grow your real estate portfolio. Go to thepropertychallenge.com right now. You do not want to miss out. Yeah. But I need people to understand you went over that homeless piece kind of fast. Like I've never been homeless. I've never had a bunch of struggle. My mom and grandma gave me the best life they could. But how did you get there? Like how did homeless at 17? I'm kind of want to know how did you get there? And actually, how did you pull yourself out of that with I'm assuming a newborn? Like that's not normal. And somebody's listening to this, they in a struggle right now. They wondering is there light at the end of the tunnel? They're wondering will they be able to get out of this? They're wondering Can I still become a millionaire? Can I be a single mother with a newborn teenager and still make something in my life? Somebody's listening on here and they really want to know, how can I get out of it? But I wanted to know kind of, how did you get in it and how did you get out of it?
Right. And so I would just say, you know, how I got into it was a product of my environment. Like my mother and my father was on drugs. Yeah. And so, you know, back in the 80s, crack was very popular.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so unfortunately, you know, my mom and dad was heavily on it. And there was a period where I lived with my mom and you know, she was very sick, you know, and when I say sick, like she, you know, she used drugs very, very heavy. Like she would leave us in the house days at a time. You know, it got to the point where I remember one day we was in there for like a few days and we were starving. Like me and my sisters were sitting on the sofa, like my baby sister crying. We like didn't know when she was coming back, but we couldn't leave out the house. But there was no food or no power. And so I remember opening the front door. And you know, if you've been in a dark place for a long period of time, like when you open the door and the sun hits you, that hurts your eyes, you know. And I remember running out that house as fast as I possibly could and grabbing 2 hands full of grass and running back inside, you know, and that's what we had to eat. And so, you know, I came from a struggle, you know, where I've always had to know how to survive, even at 5 years old. You know, when my mother got home and she was high, you know, like she would do some of the most disgusting things. Like she would beat us with extension cords. Like she was a very physically and verbally abusive person at that time. I remember when one time she got home and she owed a drug dealer money, and she literally sold me to her drug dealer to take care of her fix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sold you to a drug dealer.
Yeah. 5 years old, meaning she allowed him, you know what I'm saying, to have his way with me. Like he raped me. And for me,
5 years old?
5 years old. 5 years old. I remember, and I had so much trauma from that, Neo, like even as an adult, like it was hard for me to get through that because I felt like if my own mother couldn't love me, how could anybody else love me? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know how to experience love. I didn't know how to experience, you know, somebody caring for me. Like I didn't really know what that was, you know. And what's crazy is I was telling Jay this whenever I was doing his podcast, like, you know, I used to reach for the door handle even as an adult in my sleep, because when I was getting raped, like that's all I remember was reaching for the bathroom door handle. I couldn't even get to it. And so that was a point for me where that's how traumatized I was. And so I look at like even the marks on my arm, like the WAP right here from the extension cord. Like I look at all of these marks and you say, well, how did you pull yourself from that, right?
Jeez.
Well,
I never knew it was this deep. You got me over here cringing, like, because I'm thinking about a 5-year-old child. My daughter's 3. I can't imagine someone doing this to her. I will lose my crap.
I know. Like, let me tell you, they thought I was crazy for most of my life. Yeah. Like they put me in a mental hospital. You know, I was trying to kill myself. Like I went through a lot of mental stuff, you know, as a child. And I eventually ended up going to foster care, and that made everything worse, you know. And I think, and this is for a young lady out there that's listening, you know, like by the time I got to 12 years old, I couldn't count on my hands and toes how many people I've been with. And that's because I just did not care about anything in life. I just wanted the pain to stop. You know, and I didn't know that I was worthy. I didn't know that I was, you know, I didn't know that I was somebody, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like some people be like, yo, how you don't know that? Well, I didn't know that. If you don't never have nobody to tell you special or you're beautiful or something like that, you think you're garbage. Wow. And for me, you know, that was a big battle in my life. But what was life-changing for me, Neo, was whenever I was homeless. I've been through hell and back, and by this time, I'm grown. 16 years old, the state emancipated me. That means they say you are an adult. We're done with you. So I spent most of my life in foster care. And at the age of 16, I'm now an adult. I look at my daughter that's 16 right now. I still don't know how I made it in this world. Crazy. But, you know, I end up getting pregnant. I had my son at 17, and then I was homeless. And I remember, you know, you got to understand, I hated my mother. Like, I wanted to kill her most of my life. Wow. Because of what she did to me. She is.
You talk to her?
No.
Okay.
No.
You can't forgive her?
It's not that I can't forgive her. I have chosen to forgive, but you know, um, my son, who I was homeless with,
Tariq.
yes, that was a time where my daughter Ataya got really, really sick. She was a preemie in the hospital, and so I couldn't keep a baby at the hospital, so I needed to send him away. She was the only person I can call. Mind you, I've been in foster care, so I never really talked to her. Well, I got a phone call from my sister who passed away. She said, I need you to come get your son right now because she's about to sell him.
Whoa.
While my daughter is in the NICU fighting for her life. They said, you leave this hospital, we're calling the foster care people on you because you can't leave your daughter in NICU without an adult, without supervision. I had nobody, but I had to make a choice.
Yeah. And
all I can remember was that girl that was 5 years old laying on that bathroom floor.
Yeah.
Tariq wasn't even 1 yet. So nice. I'm like, so for me, that was the end point. Like, I'll never allow you to hurt my children like you did me. I'll never let you do that. And so that was the moment in my life where I had to forgive her because it's unrealistic of me to expect her to be a mother when she didn't know how to be a mother. She didn't know how to be my mother. So I had to forgive her for that. And so, you know, moving beyond that or whatever the case may be, you know, now I'm a grown woman. I say I'm grown, I'm 17, but I'm grown. I've been through hell and back by this time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm under this bridge with my son, and I'm like, yo, I have to. You say
under a bridge, meaning that was where you lived at, under a bridge.
Yeah, like we literally slept under there.
Wow.
Like for me, that was one of the most scariest moments of my life because of the simple fact, when you look around, no 17-year-old girl is supposed to be living under a bridge. Yeah. Not with her baby. Sure. I'm vulnerable. There's so many homeless people that's under this bridge. It's not safe. You know, even in the middle of that situation, I knew I was not supposed to be in this situation. Like, this was not my reality. Like, yes, I'm here now, but I won't remain here. Like, that's what I kept telling myself. Yeah. But the driving factor for that was my son. Like, I made him a promise that I would never, ever abandon him or forsake him. I would be a good mother to him. Because up to this point, Neil, you got to realize I was a victim. Like, that's why I hated everybody. That's why nobody wanted to get close to me. I would push them away. Up to this point in my life, I was the victim. So I knew that in order for me to move from being a victim to a victor, that's the only way I can be the woman he needs me to be. I had to leave all of that other stuff behind.
That was a mouthful. You went through, I didn't know it was like, I'm still on the 5-year-old getting raped, and I'm assuming it continued throughout several parts of your life. I don't even know how.
Well, they removed us. They removed us, and we ended up going to one grandmother, then another grandmother, and then I ended in foster care.
Yeah. But I don't even know how you even get over that type of trauma. Like, I don't even know.
2018 is when I got through that.
Wow.
Shout out to E. Like, I love him so much because that program set me free. Yeah. Like, I didn't know how angry I was or how mad I was, but, you know, I didn't know how to get through my story until 2018. That's how, like, that's not that long ago, right? That's like right there. So
that's crazy. Yeah. Just the thought of just, man, I'm sorry. I'm just still, because I'm envisioning my kids, but I just really need somebody who's listening to this. Like, you went through, that's like the pits of, like the bottom of the bottom, and to be able to recover and now impact your lives. Like, I've been to New Orleans, and you got a community with your kids' names on signs, your friends got names on signs, and it's just, I really want people to understand that you could be going through some stuff right now, and you will get out of those things.
Absolutely.
Like, you got to start telling that story more. I don't know if you really, and I don't know if it take you to a place where you can't tell it, but the people who are broken and broke, and again, y'all, I'm not talking about financially, but broken and just feel like I'm broke in my life, mentally and physically. Like, that story is so powerful because it make me feel like, man, I better not complain about no upbringing. I better not complain. Oh, the heat went out for one night. You know?
That's right. No,
you sleeping outside.
You had your mother who loved you.
Yeah.
I'll never know what that felt like.
Yeah.
I'll never know what that felt like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But my children will know what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like I have to let them know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I know let's get in a little bit into real estate. What made you started with the one property then to the two? What made you just say development is the way? Like we were just talking about how I'm like, yo, you've been in Atlanta a lot. You probably need to just buy, get a spot here. And you're like, well, actually we building, I think, a 16-unit building. How many unit? 8 unit?
Yeah, so it's a 6-story building. It's going to have 16 units in it, an event studio and a rooftop lounge.
Yeah, so... And so I was like, yo, you should get a property here. Like, you should just move. I was really talking about an apartment. Like, just get a spot here. Because when she comes, she might be at a hotel or something. Right. And they're like, yeah, the building will be up next year. 16 units, event studio. Y'all know that's my play. Yeah. Event studio, which y'all got to get one.
Yes, absolutely.
Rooftop deck. So now you can actually host your own events there. Yeah,
that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what made you do development versus continue to do just regular, I guess, flips and stuff like? And I think I heard you say the other day, like you don't really care for flips. Tell me, what made you just say development is the way?
Why
for you?
not me? Like I look at all these men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking very successful men, been development communities for 5 generations. I don't know no woman that got 5 generations of family that's been developing like that. I recently heard of one person that's out of New York, but I don't know her. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I understand that the same amount of time it take to make $1 is the same amount of time it take to make $1 million. Yeah. So I'd rather make the $1 million in the same amount of time. And so when I develop communities, I have control over it. I say how I want the roads to look in there. I say what names we want on it. We say what names we want on the subdivisions. We set the HOAs. Our children get paid for life from them HOA fees, And so all of that is so important because of the simple fact, it's a different level of income. When you flip a property, you sell it, it's done. Cool, you made some money. You develop a property, you there 5 years. You making money hand over fist for 5 years straight. You get what I'm saying? We're building a 50-unit apartment complex in Louisiana. Well, guess what? I own the building. I'm going to name the building. Every floor is going to have some type of sentimental name to me and my partners. We get to set, the rules in the building. Like,
is this the 500-unit building you were talking about? Or just a different one?
No. That's an existing unit that's already, that we're working on. This one is one we're building from ground up. But, development is another level that a lot of people don't seem to even think about. You know what I'm saying?
It seems hard.
It's not. If one person can do it, anybody can do it. I think it was Carnegie that says nothing is impossible. And every time I think about anything that I do, I always say nothing is impossible. Me wanting to be in Dubai, nothing is impossible.
You literally went to Dubai on a vacation and said, well, I think I need to invest here. And
that's right.
You went back.
That's right.
What's your plans for Dubai?
Yes, absolutely. So the plan for Dubai is I want to buy as many parcels of land as I possibly can and hold it. And then eventually start developing, high rises and some mid rises, depending on the area. But I really just want to hold the real estate because I understand the importance of it. People joke when they say, oh, they ain't making real estate no more. You doggone right. That's why I'm trying to eat as much as I can. Yeah. Like, I want the dirt. Give me all the dirt,
They said they ain't making no more land.
They ain't making no more land.
Yeah.
And, and what happens when they don't make it no more? You got these hedge fund companies buying acres, hundreds of acres at a time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we're a little behind on the game, but I think we all can step up and move forward with it for sure.
So you teach people about real estate. You show people how to get in the game. When you're teaching somebody, right? I know you got programs and masterminds and stuff. When you're teaching people, are you taking them straight to development or is it levels? Is it
levels? Yeah. I don't want nobody to get a haircut. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What's a haircut?
When you lose money, things don't go right, That crap hurt, You ever shave backwards, you understand the pain of a haircut, right? So I start with the very basics, like, how much money do you need to replace you? That's the biggest question. It's not about what industry.
How much money you have to replace you, meaning your job?
That's right.
Okay,
your job.
got you.
Like, you got to wake up every single day, go to work, clock in, whatever, right? You can't tell me you want to do this forever.
Yeah.
So let's not think about retirement with a 401k. Let's think about retirement with these bricks.
Yeah.
How many bricks you need right now to replace you?
Yeah.
We find that out. Then we get to the point of, okay, this is the best vehicle for you. Flipping may not be the best vehicle for some people. Yeah. Buy and hold may be the better solution. A commercial project may be a better solution. Storage units may be a better solution. Wholesaling may be a better solution. Yeah. It depends on where that person is and how much they need to replace them.
The path you need. Everybody got a different path.
Everybody got a different path. Yeah. So for somebody to just say, oh, I start everybody here, I can't start everybody there. I got to know what your exit is. Yeah. Because before you start, you need your exit. Are you going to be taking all kind of detours along this way?
Yeah, that's powerful. So essentially, you come in and identify where you're at, and then we could decide whether you want to start with development, whether you want to start with wholesaling, whether you want to start with buy and holds. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I'm so happy, and I want to ask you just about the digital world, digital real estate, which I'm in with digital products and stuff, versus what you're in with real bricks. And of course I have some real bricks, but not like this ain't my full-time gig.
Right.
But I guess for me, like flipping, I just never fell in love with flipping because I'm like, the amount of energy and effort you got to put in to flip a building, I'd rather just keep it forever. And then Doug is somebody who initially taught me about real estate. He taught me about real estate and made me really understand the importance of buying and holding. But I want to do the effort, put the work in and keep the building. I want to get paid for the rest of my life.
That's right.
Like you said, your kid getting money off of HOAs. Like that's gangster to develop it and now create HOAs. I like how that sounds.
Don't go away.
Because I think people are creating communities, but I don't know if they're doing an HOA play in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, the HOA is mandatory.
Yeah.
And it also keeps the design of the neighborhood. Like, you know what I'm saying? It keeps the developers involved in what we've built. Yeah. So that's so important. But yeah, no, buy and hold is extremely important, and people don't understand. You can literally buy anything in this world. Why not buy income?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why they not buying income?
Wow.
Because we're not taught that.
Because you got to really think, for me, just to go back to the flipping, it's like, buy the building, fix it up. It's almost like a job, then flip it. They say you only good as your last flip. And you got to find another. And no, I'm not hating on nobody flipping, y'all. Let's be very clear. I'm just saying, because I'm in the digital world, I'm like, that's my flip money. Right. So for me, I'd rather get something that I can make money, because then you got to pay capital gains on the flip, unless you're going to do a 1038 exchange.
You can't do a 1031 with a flip.
Give me a 1031 exchange.
Not with a flip.
You can't?
No, because they got time restraints on that. So, you can do.
Oh, with a flip, but if I got an existing something, because my buddy just sold a land they had, restaurant land, and they did a 1031 on it.
But that's because that's not a flip. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, because flips
wasn't like a 3-month process. We went in here.
Right. It's like less than a year or whatever the case may be. You can't do a 1031 with that. The IRS is very strict on those type of vehicles. But yeah, I would say that, with a buy and hold, whenever you're buying and holding, income, I told you, I said, Neil, you want in on this deal that I brought you in on, because we have a 20-year contract where they're going to pay us $500,000 a year. How can you even say no to that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, 3% inflation built in. How can we say no to that? There's not an investment. Like, this investment was so sweet that we did together that we got a dividend payment 6 months in.
Yeah. Yo, can you imagine getting a check for $12,000 from work that you didn't even put in? I'm talking about completely passive. And that's what I was able to do, because I just had the opportunity to invest with Terrica. Now I'm getting dividends over and over and over again. So if you're looking at this, right, and you're interested in learning about real estate, learning how you can start making your money work for you so you don't have to work for it, you gotta join the Property Challenge. Go to thepropertychallenge.com right now to make sure you get access to a week-long training with her special guests, where they're gonna literally show you how to get started and how to truly win in real estate. So listen, don't meet me there, beat me there. Can't wait. See y'all there.
Multifamily, you don't get dividend payments off the back like that. Like, it don't go like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It takes 12 to 18 months to stabilize it. Then you start getting dividend payments, you know? So for us to get into something like that, now think about it. That's income you don't even have to worry about.
Yeah, I think it just went in my bank account too.
It just going to your bank account. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think the check just went, the deposit just went in there too.
Yeah.
That I ain't got to do nothing for.
You don't have to do anything for it, right? So you put a little elbow grease. I
get paid for the rest of my life on that.
That's right.
Until the building sell.
That's right. And you get paid off that.
Yeah, I like that.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so
y'all better tap in with that, y'all. Forever. Somebody in the comments write forever income.
Forever income.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shirt. I need that.
Ooh, that is. Income. Yeah,
that's
get that shirt.
One. That's a good one.
Yeah, forever income. I like that. Yeah.
We get
with a house on it. What else? With something else. Yeah, I like that. That's a good design. We gotta do it before people watch this. And we gotta drop that before this episode drop. Go ahead.
Forever income.
Yeah.
But yeah, so buy and hold again, it depends. I'll tell you, you say you're not hating on flippers, right? I'll take all the heat. I'm hating, right? Because I want for you to have more. Yeah. I know if you get sick with COVID or whatever sickness and you can't continue flipping, your family gonna hurt. So while you good at flipping, be good at investing that money to buy you more money so you don't have to keep on flipping. Flipping is a job.
Yeah.
You just an employed person for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying stop flipping. What I'm saying is continue. You flipping for a reason, for income.
Yeah.
Buy income along the way and still keep flipping. So if you ever get tired or you be like, yo, you know what? I want to retire. You got income that's growing for you while you still doing what you love.
Yeah. It's powerful.
That's important.
Yeah. And one of my buddies, he talk about if you are flipping, maybe flip one, get a buy and hold. Flip one, get a buy and hold. Flip one, get a buy and hold.
He's smart. Yeah, like he's smart. You flipping is no different than you having to show up for a job.
Yeah. You're the first person that really broke down that concept for me of buying income. You say investor means to you buying income.
Buying income. That's it. That's it. Like, every time you invest into something, you buying income. If you say you just want to invest, and I think everybody want to return on their investment, right? I ain't meet nobody yet who said, yo, I don't want to return on my investment.
Yeah, facts.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if I'm investing in charity, I want the return to be somebody's life being changed. So you can't tell me you're an investor and you're not looking for a return. And so for me, anytime I send my little children out, I want them to come back with some big children. I like them all to come to my house and play. You know what I'm saying? So, investing have to be a part of our life. Spending is a part of our life.
Yeah. So investing needs to become mandatory. People haven't made it mandatory yet.
They not.
Yeah.
It has to be mandatory. People will question an investment before they question spending.
That's a fact.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, I've done it before. Like,
yeah.
Wait, you sure?
Yeah. Like how you not question spending, but you question investment.
Yeah.
I have to literally have a consultation with you to tell you you're gonna make $500,000, but it takes nothing for you to go buy, let's just say $1 million boat.
Yeah.
You just go buy it.
Yeah. Don't even question it.
Right.
Boom.
Don't question it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So somebody told me that, was like, dang, I remember when we first started together. I was like, no offense to them, but they're not where I'm at right now. I just kept my head down and kept on buying income.
Yeah. Tell people, like, so one of the benefits, like, I'm about to close on a building, and one of the other reasons, and we were just talking to you about, like, I'm getting an office first. I'm like, do I buy it or do I lease it? Just because, of course, you're an advocate for buying, so of course I'm gonna buy it now. But
I'll buy it for you.
What's the benefits for a digital entrepreneur? Like, one of the reasons I was trying to close on this deal before December 31st is past that, but because of talk a little bit about the depreciation, just all the other benefits of owning real estate outside of the bricks. There's so many other, I know we got cost segregation studies. It's just seems like
it's
so
so
many
much
benefits.
and we can do a whole entire course on it. But what I will say is, you get the appreciation, you get the depreciation, you get the cash flow, which is huge, right? You get the actual physical asset within itself, and it builds your portfolio. So if you go to a bank and they say, and you say, oh, I want to buy a commercial building, they're going to say, oh, well, do you already own one? You say no, they're going to be like, oh, okay. But if you say I already own one, then it's like, oh, that's different. It's a different type of conversation. So I always say ownership is way more important. You get to write off, like you get to depreciate your interest. Like it's so many things you can do with ownership than you cannot do with not owning a building. And for those of you who's in the digital space, you need some tax vehicles to be able to, invest, and defer, some of this income through.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So that brings me to digital real estate or physical real estate.
I'm physical.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm digital.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I like both. Now, I want both, but I think what we've been on now is take all of your digital income and fork it in the physical income, like fork it in the physical real estate. Earlier on, I just got spoiled. It's like I could create a digital product. Let's say an ebook, cost me just say $5,000 all in maybe, and I could potentially go have that make me $5,000 a month for a year. What's that? What's that about $60,000 off of a $5,000 investment? Maybe with some advertising and stuff. Call it. May make 30, 40,000 cash flow off of this digital product. So I'm like, I just fell in love with it. So when I was presented just deals in real estate, I'm like, yo, that seemed kind of slow to me. You know what I mean? Like one of my properties in Philly cash flow me like, which is cool. I like it. It's like $700 a month. But I'm like, yo, that same effort, I'm like, I could create me a book or something and just
keep that going.
So for years I was spoiled on that idea of, but now I'm like, everything I think about now is how can I make sure my family's good forever? But that was just my thought earlier. I mean, earlier years ago, I was like, man, I just want, why?
But for me, the digital space is based off of, a lot of physical labor.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't no little elbow grease and then you take your hands off. It's elbow grease, arm grease, eye grease, head grease, shoe grease. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot, and people don't understand, to me, everything that goes into it. So the reason why I say physical real estate is because I get the actual benefits of the IRS code than what you would get with that $30,000 that you did not mention anything with the IRS code with, because you have no vehicles.
Yeah, that's a fact.
But the cool thing is, like you said, you use that money to go buy physical, and then, you still doing, it's the same as flipping. Yeah. Right? The physical money, you take it to go buy the stable money. Yeah. And I think that, any real investor I know has a portfolio. Yeah. Like when I have conversations with my buddies at the country club, I shouldn't have said that. Whatever. Whatever. Yes. The country club. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, all we talking about is bricks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We talking about bricks, you know what I'm saying? And how big they portfolios are. I got some buddies that got 3,000 doors. Yeah. I mean, they making $150,000, $200,000, with one set of buildings. Yeah. It took me 18 years to build $250,000 in passive income. Wow. That's a long time. Yeah. But I ain't mad. Yeah. I retire right now and be good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think everybody just got to choose what they,
choose your path.
That's it. But also make sure that it's something that you can retire from, because you're not going to be young all the time. I'm not going to be young. Yeah. So
that's why I'm literally transitioning. I'm putting everything I got into real estate. Like every dime I'm extra that I want to put in a real, outside of buying businesses and brands and stuff, I want to put. I just got addicted to fast money. You know what I mean? Like I'm about to buy a brand. Say I buy a brand for $1 million and put down a deposit, and I immediately acquire a network.
But nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah, that's good. Do both.
Yes.
I do everything.
Yes.
One of my friends, she and clients, Coach Kelly, say, and both. Like, give me everything.
Yeah, that's right. It's a buffet.
Yeah, it's a buffet. So Yeah, it's just, if y'all listening to this, man, just put the money in real estate. Even if you start doing a comparison game, like, because just the idea that Trump doesn't pay taxes because of the bricks. Like, a lot of these people don't pay taxes because of the bricks. So it's just that, yeah. I got good buddies of mine. I'm like, yo, what's your tax bill? I don't have one.
Yeah.
Because of the bricks, depreciation, cost
David
studies.
was joking about that yesterday. Like, his tax bill way crazier than mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's that digital rep money.
I have to go back braiding hair, that type of tax bill.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Make some cards on the side. I can't do that. Like, I don't know. You know, like, that's a lot. So, absolutely. You definitely want to diversify yourself for sure.
So, for somebody here listening, what's some first steps they should take to get their first or their next property?
I would say, you know, just start researching, finding a great mentor, you know, having the right mentorship, you know, somebody with real receipts. I think that's always important. You know, you have a lot of teachers with no receipts. You want to make sure they have receipts. I would also say, you know, start reading books about real estate investing so you can just...
Any books in particular that your favorites?
Oh, yes. Real Estate for Dummies.
Okay. Yeah.
That's an easy one. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I was really dumb when I started in real estate. Yeah. You know, so I did it scared. I did it dumb. I ain't care. I ain't had no rules to follow. I ain't had nothing to break. I just did it. So I think that, you know, for me, that was, you know, a good book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is another great book. You know, Real Estate Investing Made Simple is another great book. There's so many great books out there you can just start reading and then start showing up to networking events about real estate, get in conversations with people that's having real estate conversations, surround yourself with people who are who you're aspiring to be like all of that to me, you know, adds value to what it is and how you want to get started in real estate investing.
Yeah. So for you, one of the things you do is you give people an opportunity to invest with you on projects. I think I even heard you say it, like, a lot of times, like, you could get started literally purely leveraging other people's money. You talked about a deal about, talk to me about somebody here, like, I don't got it, but I could potentially leverage somebody's money. What could that person do? Like, I may don't have the money.
Get all the knowledge you can. Like, knowledge is money. Knowledge is wealth. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything you're lacking right now. Like, I gave an example of when I was in my mastermind and I said, okay, a contractor, stand up. Why you not doing whatever, right? Why you not investing in real estate? Oh, I don't got the down payment or the money. All right, sit down. Ask an investor, hey, why you not investing in real estate? I don't have a contract. I don't really know what to do to get started. I said, okay, both of y'all stand up, the contractor and the investor. I said, the investor got the money, the contractor got the skills and the expertise. Do y'all mind working together to come up with some type of opportunity for each other? The contractor didn't have no money, but because he was in the right room around the right people and we asked the right questions, that contractor now have business in a partnership. And now this investor is now investing into real estate, but now they partner is just as invested as them because they're the contractor.
And I really want people to get it.
That's leverage too.
Yeah, leverage. I really want people to get not just creative finance, and that's one thing, but you got to get resourceful in this time we in.
That's right.
Like, you got to get resourceful. Like,
that's
if somebody got some money sitting, they know, like, and trust you, and you understand this game, you borrow that money and you give them a return.
That's right.
Like, it's just, I feel like it's so many, like, we don't exhaust every option that's presented to us.
We don't. We just count ourselves out because we look at our bank account and we say, oh, it's not there. And then that's it. We don't go beyond that. Yeah.
You wanted to buy $1 million building with no money. What you going to do right now?
I'm going to call Neo and David and a few other rich people I know and say, hey, I have this opportunity. It's going to make us this amount of money. You know, how much can y'all come to the table with?
Done. All right, what about if somebody don't got them friends? What they do?
Get you some new friends. Get in the right room. I'm sorry. Broke people hanging with broke people just gonna have broke results. We can't do that, right? So I would say, you know, if you don't have those type of people, that's the first thing you need to fix.
Yeah, I agree. Like, one of the things my Alex says is, he says education before compensation. Yeah.
That's good.
Like, people gotta really start. Yo, everything changed with me financially when I just started educating myself more. Everything. I just started making way more money. I tell people all the time, the more you learn, at some point you can remove the L.
And earn.
Yeah. So it's like, and then sometimes it's who, not how. Who can help you do it?
That's right. Who got my money?
Yeah, Grant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Who got
my money?
Yeah, exactly. So tell the people real quick. I know you offer opportunities, invest with you. You offer, I know David had to twist your arm to even help you to start coaching people on this, because you're like, yo, I've been making money a long time just doing the thing. But I know you're creating opportunities, the property challenge and the mastermind to really help people. How can people tap in?
Absolutely. So right now we have the property challenge that's coming up. It is a 5-day extensive course. Time with me, like we're on a date. You need to clear your schedule. You got to make sure that you show up every single day. And I'm giving meat and potatoes. I'm not giving like that little hoorah, that little fluff. You know, I'm giving you what you can eat off of. But at the end, I'm also going to offer you a chance and opportunity to come sit at the table with us.
Powerful.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to go through them 5 days.
Yeah, that's good.
You got to go through them 5 days.
Yeah.
You got to prove yourself.
You got to prove they're ready to make the investment.
That's it. This.
Yeah.
Got to be right.
Website, thepropertychallenge.com.
www.thepropertychallenge.com. You can go to any one of my social media platforms. Click the link in the bio.
What's your social media platforms?
Terrica Lynn Smith.com. All of my platforms. Instagram is Female Real Estate Guru, Terrica Lynn Smith.
Let's get it, y'all. So I just wanted y'all to really hear that. I wanted y'all to really understand, like, work with somebody who got the receipts. Work with somebody who's doing this. Like, this is all she eat, dream, and sleep, real estate. And the biggest thing that I really love is that, one, she got me making some money with her, which is always good with these bricks that we got. But just being around people who get it. Like, one of the most important things you could do in this season of people's lives is elevate your circle.
That's right.
You said it, like, your current situation is not your final destination. I believe you can change everything within a year of dedication, removing out the bull crap, and really just going all in on your goals and your dreams.
All in.
Yeah.
It's all in. I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, I believe. So T, take us out with just an inspiring or encouraging word to our guests. And I know we're going to do a part 2. I know we got some time constraints right now, but I'm just grateful that you took some time to get on be on a circle of greatness.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be with you. So let the people know something. Take us out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take this from my boy Lamar, who I heard say this morning, right? Reasons sound like excuses to me. And so I need you to stop counting all the reasons why you can't do something and start doing. Like, start doing. It don't matter what it is. Even if it's one small thing, just do it and just get involved and just see if it works. What's the worst that can happen? You be exactly where you are. Like, that's what, like, just do it. Like, I love it.
And with that being said, y'all, another episode of Circle of Greatness. Let's tap in. See you on the next one. Let's go.